Hello, Yorktown. This is Town Supervisor Tom Diana, and this is Tom about your town. I've been your supervisor now for about 45 days, and I want to introduce my new deputy supervisor, Ed Lachterman.
Hello, everyone. How are you today?
As your new supervisor, we just wanted to update you with things that have happened in these past 45 or so days, and just bring it out into the public so that you folks have an idea of what's going on here on a daily basis. We have adopted the 2023 town budget that reduced property taxes and enhanced public safety with a new traffic safety officer that will be put on, bringing that up to 2 traffic safety officers, which is a monumental thing for all the problem areas that we have in town. I know Ed and I have worked on public safety for all you folks on the streets, and we want to continue to make sure that Yorktown is one of the safest towns in Yorktown. What do you think, Ed?
I think we already are one of the safest towns in the country. We were in the top 100. Our police force does a phenomenal job. And, I think having a supervisor with a very good knowledge, working knowledge of the police and what they have to do on a daily basis really helps us out. And as you're a retired police officer who served Yorktown, Cortland, and the county, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
That goes a long way in that communication, and I think for the entire 8 years, or 7 for me, 8 for you, that we've worked on the board, we've really kept the safety, public safety, our police force in mind, and have always worked towards the safety and quality of life of our residents in the town.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to keep our residents safe in the town. Our police force is, as far as I'm concerned, the finest police department in Westchester County. Of course, I may be a little bit prejudiced about that. We have also adopted zoning for 2 important redevelopment sites. One is going to be a boutique hotel, and the other a 24-unit apartment complex. The boutique hotel is going to be at the corner of Veterans Road and Commerce Street, and the 24 unit apartments is going to be right off of Route 202, just behind the Roma building. I know Ed has had some input with the boutique hotel. If you could tell us a little bit about that, Ed.
Sure. So I forget the amount of rooms, but a small boutique hotel, really very tastefully done on the corner there. The zoning was added into the district overlay project, so it's part of revitalizing downtown Yorktown. There's been a terrific need for housing right around here temporary housing is in a hotel for people coming to visit, for weddings, for holidays. Even like when my daughter and her husband come home, they don't want to stay in her old bedroom. They want to have a place that they could stay, and we don't have that in Yorktown. They either have to go to Mount Kisco or Peekskill. Well, hopefully soon, not anymore. We'll have a nice little hotel right in the center of town with rooftop dining, some nice restaurant service. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think that our planning board and our planning department will really make sure that everything about it works for the town of Yorktown, and the operator, who has a couple of restaurants in town, just does a phenomenal job. So it'll be great to see.
Yeah, I think he's got this will be his 3rd business in the town of Yorktown, Ed. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, they do a nice job at both of their opened establishments now. Moving on, the boutique hotel will bring people. People will want to walk in our town. We have secured a $1.7 million investment in Yorktown Heights streetscape, where we're going to improve the sidewalks and the roadways in the Downing and Commerce Street area in town. They're in the planning stages now, and they should unroll within the next several months.
If I may just jump in, I constantly walk my dog through town, and you really right now have to watch the sidewalks because of the cracks, and it's horrible. So this is really a much needed project. It would be great. I know the main focus is Commerce Street, and there is a hope to actually Downing and Commerce, and then there's a hope to, if we have some money left, start on to Veterans Road, which also would be a great road to get into that walkability because of all the events we have at the track, whether it's Alliance concerts, Relay for Life, Police Night Out was at the Jack DeVito Veterans Memorial Field this year. So it's and then of course all of our kids playing soccer and sports on that field. So it's just really exciting to be a part of that because it's a much needed upgrade to give us walkability.
Absolutely, and not to minimize the Feast of San Gennaro that takes place on Commerce Street at that point in time. It'll make it safer for the residents who may be on the sidewalk and are walking and visiting the different food vendors or taking the children on rides and so forth. It's going to be a good thing.
And then a Fireman's Parade.
Fireman's Parade.
Memorial Day Parade.
Yep.
So a lot of use on that street. So don't forget Fam Jam coming back this year.
That's right. Fam Jam will be here shortly. Matter of fact, I had a meeting with the folks that want to put that on, and they're excited about getting going. We had the police chief there as well, going over some of the nuances, and the highway superintendent for blocking the roads and making the streets safe for the participants of that event. Yeah. So we're going to move on to the sinkhole.
Your favorite subject.
My favorite subject. That started on December 24th, Christmas Eve, and continues on till now. Although the sinkhole is filled, we are doing more exploration, or I should say that Enbridge, the gas company, is doing more exploration. They have done their due diligence and found a few places of interest that they want to explore further. They're doing it with GPR, or ground penetrating radar, and borings, and another type of electrical test that even gives a clearer picture of any of their anomalies that they may be seeing below the ground without first digging it up. So they are up there as we speak, and the park remains closed. So Legacy Field remains closed during these borings and testings up there, just so that everybody knows what's going on. We hope to have that reopened by April 1st. That's the battle plan right now, that we get it open by April 1st. I know Ed was up there with me, and the sinkhole was enormous. Yeah. Yeah. And what you saw on top was not what was underneath, but in all fairness to Enbridge and Bond Construction, they took care of that, and that is now refilled and secured. But they are still doing their due diligence to make sure that they continue to keep our park safe for our residents. To move forward a little bit, we had the untimely death of Lieutenant Kenneth Scroy. It was a very sad day for Yorktown. During that time, we promoted posthumously Lieutenant Kenneth Scroy to Captain Kenneth Scroy. Our heartfelt condolences go out to the family of Kenny, and also to his colleagues on the police department who loved the guy. It was a sad day for Yorktown.
Absolutely. I know a little early in his career, but people were talking about, him being in a chief spot one day, which is, for a young man of 37 years old, is very impressive for him to be showing that stature already, and for people to be thinking that far ahead. So it is a shame. I will say that this year the Yorktown Lions have decided to honor both him and Jake Arcana from our highway department, who also met an untimely death when he was struck by a car. They're going to honor them and dedicate the entire concert series to both Jake and Kenny, and it's in their memory, and it's something that so appreciate the Lions wanting to commemorate their lives and celebrate their lives, and what they've done for Yorktown.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. We can't stress enough, especially with the loss of Jake Akara, who was actually putting drainage in off of London Road when he was struck and killed at that scene. A heartfelt condolence goes out to his family and our highway department. Both members of this Yorktown family will be truly missed, and it's heartbreaking that both of these young men have passed and have left our Yorktown family. The Lakeland School District has done a lot of things for the town of Yorktown, such as ball fields that they do not charge the SOAC or Shrub Oak Athletic Club for, but they took it a step further. They had 15 smart boards that they were retiring, and they donated them to the town of Yorktown and to the John C. Hart Memorial Library, where they will be put up and utilized. I have yet to see them work. I'm interested to see how they work. From what I understand, they're kind of like a big screen that you can write on, and it has sound and so on and so forth. But I've yet to see the operation. Ed, do you know anything about them?
I'm not smart enough to use a smartboard. But no, you know what? It basically integrates technology with the whiteboards, and really ups the game on what used to be chalkboards in the classrooms. You could run computer programs on them. So it's very, very exciting to see that this is going to be happening. We really thank Lakeland School District. It was very, very cool that they, as they were updating some different things, were able to donate these to the, to the town. Just really a nice addition that we should be able to utilize, especially at the library in different things. So we just really, what a nice gesture to say, hey, let's make this happen. And I think we should throw a little kudos to our former supervisor, Matt Slater, who put heard about it, and they put two and two together and made that happen. So thank you, Matt, and thank you, Lakeland. Thank you, Hart Library, because they also needed to make this happen for our town.
Yeah, the library really comes together for this town. It's actually almost a destination anymore. Our library director, Yvonne Check, has done so much for that library, and has brought it up to the 20th century. It's really interesting what they're doing, and there's going to be some more improvements coming in the near future. I actually met with the library board back in, it had to be September, and spoke with them about doing a tree lighting there. So we were able to garner through donations from several families in town to purchase an it's almost 20 feet tall actually, Colorado blue spruce, which we planted sometime in October, late October. And we had the first annual tree lighting at the library this This is going to be an annual event, so stay tuned when the holiday tree lighting is going to be this December. I know that's a little bit off, and we're just getting out of winter, we think. We're not sure. It's like spring today, but
almost like May.
yeah, it's beautiful out. But we're just we're waiting to have our next tree lighting there. I guess there was about 250 or so people there at the last one, and there was a lot of fun. We had Mr. and Mrs. Claus. We had a reindeer there, or I should say a person dressed up as a reindeer.
Well, she might be a reindeer to you since it was your wife.
Very good, Ed. Very good.
But you know what? And I think you're being a little modest too. It wasn't only the donations that happened, but there was a lot of work involved, Tommy. And I know that you were the one who excavated the hole for the tree to be planted. You made sure all the lighting happened. You made sure that the whole ceremony was put together, timed, and everything happened on site. So I give you kudos because
thank you, Ed.
It's great to see. We have the ceremony on this side of town, which is fantastic. But I think your knowledge of all of Yorktown really helps us to say, hey, let's recognize some of these areas. The John C. Hart Memorial Library has a structure from the Revolutionary War, if I'm not mistaken. I know a couple of houses along that strip, so you just don't get more Americana than East Main Street over there, and or is that Main Street or East Main Street?
East Main Street.
East Main Street.
Yep.
Thank you. And bringing that over there not only is a joy to the people on that side of town, but really highlights what Yorktown has to offer. So thank you for getting that done.
Oh, thank you, Ed. And it was a group effort because, as Ed said, I don't. It's a labor of love as far as I'm concerned to get this stuff done for the community. But our water department helped, our highway department helped. I had them bring the Vactor over because there's numerous wires that are run through the ground over there, and I could just see digging the hole for this tree with a machine. All of a sudden I hit a wire, or somebody hit a wire with something, and the lights go out in Shrub Oak. That wouldn't have been a good look. I could just see it on the front page of the Yorktown News. Councilman, at that point in time, blacks out Shrub Oak. It wouldn't have been a good look.
Right. Well, speaking of the water department, Tommy, didn't you have something to do with water this January?
This January, water this January. Yes,
maybe getting into some.
Yes, I did.
And not hot water for a change.
No, I wasn't getting into hot water this year. I actually got into some cold water. I did the polar bear plunge at Sparkle Lake on my birthday, January 21st. And I was a little smarter than the average polar bear. I got into a dry suit. Yeah, it kept me dry, but that water is cold. I have to tell you that. And we had about 25 participants, and it's to raise money. And we're looking to make that bigger every year so that we can get more people donating and distributing money to different causes. If let's say Relay for Life wanted to get involved, or Ask wanted to get involved, or any of our town charities, yeah, that would like to get involved and get a donation going for yourself, it's a great event. It only lasts a few minutes. One thing I did notice, though, or I should say I did note, is that once you go in the water and you have one of these dry suits on, don't do the backstroke because you end up on your back and it's a little difficult to twist around and get back on your front. I was like a turtle out there. But anyway, it was fun. And it was a good time. Everybody, took pictures, and actually Councilman Esposito came out. He braved the cold without a dry suit. God bless him.
Yeah, and all the money raised was this time around was for the Friends of Yorktown Parks and Recreation, who started the polar bear plunge. So nice work by them, and I will be behind you every year when you do that, Tommy, but behind you on the beach, not in the water.
Come on, Ed, next year.
Ain't gonna happen.
Not
Captain.
happening? Okay. All right.
Actually, I think it might actually be a law in the books that I'm not allowed to be shirtless in town anyway. So
That could be. That could very well be. All right. That might be a sight people wouldn't be able to forget.
no.
You know, we stress that in Yorktown here we lead from the front. And if you folks have a friend, a loved one, a neighbor, and that particular individual doesn't answer the phone, the Yorktown police are available to help you see if that person is okay. Now, they may have just gone away for a day, but you hadn't seen them for 2, so you're thinking that something is wrong with the person. Who knows? Maybe if it's an elderly person, they could have fallen and not been able to get up. So if you do have somebody next door to you or a loved one, check on them. It would be a wonderful thing if you could save a life that way.
Right. And if you knock on a door and you don't get an answer, you could call the police. My oldest brother, who passed away a few years back, he had a stroke, and a neighbor hadn't seen him, and they were able to get him to the hospital. Unfortunately, he had some other issues that complicated things, and he passed about a month later. But it was because of that wellness check. Otherwise, he wouldn't have even had that fighting chance.
Right.
So, you'd reach out to the police department. They are wonderful at doing it. I receive compliments all the time. As a matter of fact, we had a senior who has trouble with his transitions from the walking to get into bed, and our police, and it's a long-standing resident in our town, and our police were more than happy to help his wife and him while their nurse was recovering from COVID.
Yeah.
It's just amazing police department we have, and that all of the neighborly parts of Yorktown. That's what we're all about. It's about community. So wellness checks are tremendous. So please, if you haven't seen a neighbor, you're not being nosy, knock on a door. If you don't get an answer, call our police.
And to take that just a little bit further, that's what happened off of Cordial Road. Person from that particular residence had passed away. Actually, 2 people had passed away, and the female person did not show up at work, which started a chain of a wellness check or a check on the welfare, where 2 people were found deceased in the house, and that is the articles that are in the paper with the 150 cats, etc. So, it unfortunately it did not have a good outcome, but at least a wellness check was done, and it's neighbors watching neighbors, and that's what we do in Yorktown. We watch out for one another.
Yes.
And this goes out to some of the youth in Yorktown that may be out at a friend's house and there may be a little party and so on going on. And if you see one of your friends all of a sudden pass out on the floor or on the ground, you don't know what that person may have done prior to seeing you. It could be an illness, it could be a drug, it could be a reaction to food, you don't know. Please, 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 don't be afraid to call 911 to get that person help. The life you save may be your friend's. You're not going to be held accountable for that person's illness or their drug use. So, please, don't forget that. Please.
And I would say that even more so, your friends will appreciate it, not hold it against you if you save their life. Trust me.
Yeah, you're saving a life. You're not being a rat. Okay. Now we're going to talk trash. How's that sound? Want to talk some trash, Ed?
We could talk a little trash.
Okay, we're going to talk garbage here. As you know, January 1st started the new garbage contract, and it was a bumpy start. We had many complaints. We were able to navigate through them. And we are on the other side at this point where there are few misstops. There are pickups that are occurring more frequently and not missed, I guess is what I want to say. The Carter has actually updated the map to make more sense for him. He was working under the old map, and that was half of the problem. He's done this town before, so he knew what to do, but it was tough for him to do it with the equipment he had on the particular streets and the way they were arranged. Ed, would you like to
yeah.
go over the maps and
Well,
where people can look at them?
Sure. Well, let me just jump in a little bit first off with the, if you don't mind, with the service and all. So, I know there was concern in the beginning that the hauler did not have the proper equipment, which he did. We had invoices on everything.
We vetted it.
We inspected everything. Do things break down? Absolutely. Every company has things that break down.
Yep.
So there are other issues that come up. There has been a change in the map, and the big thing that I think needs to be told, the town requires a 90-day notice if the hauler wants to change the routes. In this instance, we asked the hauler to change the routes as soon as possible. So now the routes will be changed in 2 weeks' time from our February 13th, so they'll change on February 27th. This was a request of the town. The hauler is not breaking the contract. They are honoring our request and wishes to make sure that everything is as seamless as possible for our residents. We will be advertising this in the paper. There will be door hangers that the hauler will have people put on your door, giving you your new day. And most important is we had the hauler work with our refuse and recycling to update the maps on our website. So if you go to the refuse and recycling website for the town of Yorktown, New York, you will see the different routes, and it's overlaid to the section maps of Yorktown, and all of the routes are in a particular color. Now, this is the recycling only that is going to have some changes. Some Mondays will go to Tuesdays, some Tuesdays will go to Mondays, and it's to condense the area so our trucks are not driving all over town. They're in a concentrated area, and it's better for the ecology. We're not burning fossil fuels all over the place, doing extra miles. So some really great things coming out of this. So the maps can be found there. You will also have the availability to look up your street, and it will tell you what day your trash is picked up and what day your recycling is picked up. All of those changes are supposed to be online by Friday, at least the maps. I'm not sure if they're going to hold off on the changes until that Monday to have everything populate with the new route, but you will be able to see your route schedule for recycling on the map probably today. Well, tomorrow, which would be Friday the 17th.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were going to work on it today, but probably tomorrow you'll see it up. Just look for your street, and it'll tell you what section you're in and what your day is to get your recycling picked up. Oh, and one other thing, Ed, that if you see a regular garbage packer out on the street picking up your cardboard, they are not mixing it from this point forward. It's just another truck out there to try and expedite the recycling where it seemed the slow up was.
Well, I think it's important that people realize when once COVID started, and now even post-COVID, Amazon is a huge, huge way of doing business. Everything gets delivered. People like that convenience. The only problem is it affects the cardboard, the amount of cardboard. Cardboard takes up a lot of space, and you have to empty the trucks more frequently. So rather than running the truck back and forth 3 times, it's better from an economy and ecological point of view to just run an extra truck so they both go back once instead of, and you basically save a trip to the dump. I think it's fantastic that the hauler is becoming innovative and trying to make things work, because our world is changing. The Amazon effect, as I'll call it, with cardboard. I remember Councilman Patel talking about it 6 or 7 years ago, and how there's so much cardboard. And I think at one point he was hoping to be able to charge Amazon per box, which would have been a great idea, but I don't know if we, actually I know we do not have the power to create a tax that affects on a federal level from the town.
True. So to help us help you, when you get your recycle out there, especially your cardboard boxes and stuff, if you break them down, it's much easier, and they can put more in the truck if they're broken down, and it doesn't have to be compacted.
That's actually part of our contract, too, that our residents are supposed to break down those boxes.
And speaking of contract, we know that the garbage company has been out a little early. We discussed this last night, and I was in discussion yesterday with the Carter, and he advised that they're working on that. They just didn't want to see residents get a missed pickup. But what was happening was people were putting their garbage out or their recycle out at 6 a.m. Meanwhile, the truck has already been by. So we were still getting missed pickups. So with this new schedule, we hope to rectify all of that. That's what we strive for. And it is in the contract that they're not supposed to start until 6 a.m.
Right.
So.
And I do think, it's once again important to make sure everyone realizes we are documenting the issues. We are making sure they get rectified. It would be great if everything were peachy keen, but there are always road bumps and everything. Our job, once a contract and bid is awarded, especially one that saves our town, what is it, $1.5 million over the contract?
Over 5 years, we've saved the town $1.5 million.
Right. So once that happens, it is our job to make sure that it works, and we hold the vendor accountable. And I think from a point of view of where I sit, that's something that our entire town board has been working at, making sure that the communication is there, everything's documented, it goes through our refuse and recycling, and once a contract ends, if we feel the need to not renew, I know there are 3 years of renewal after the 5-year contract, then we have that option. But the hauler has been extremely responsive, cares about getting it done right. Maybe a little rough around the edges, but his business is dealing with garbage, not as much with people. So, but he's definitely been very responsive to any of my calls, going back into neighborhoods if it was missed or he came through early. So we just want to let the town know that we are all working at it as a team. And by the way, this is what we do with every vendor. I remember the last garbage contract, there was a error in the bid specs, and we had to work at getting that fixed. It had to do with the larger containers in
dumpsters,
the multifamily complexes, and we had to renegotiate some of the contract. We had to make sure everything got fixed. This is what happens. Not everything is smooth as silk transition. But
True.
Yeah.
And I've been through, well, you and I have been through 3 of these now, and
Yes.
every one takes about the same amount of time and the same amount of complaints come in. The difference that I saw was I'm sitting in the supervisor seat now, and we're getting the calls. So we were fielding 100 calls a day plus emails. The refuse and recycle was doing at least that, and the carter garbage hauler was probably getting the same amount. But I think we've crested the hill, and we're on the flat now, and it's going to work. I think that with this new map that's out there and the way they're going to pick it up, I think it's going to be a good thing. Last week's storm, boy, that was something. And I know a lot of you have probably driven by the Loxley Road firehouse off of 132 and see the 2 poles that came down. New York State Gas and Electric did a heck of a job in restoring the power to this area. Even though, some people don't maintain their generators and, they have trouble getting them going, they were not out of power for too long. We were upwards of 3,000 customers, both on Con Edison and New York State Gas and Electric, most of which were on the New York State Gas and Electric side. Within 24 hours, we were down to, I think it was about 500, wasn't it, Ed?
Might have been a little less.
Might have been a little bit less, but that was due to down poles. Now, with that particular incident by Loxley Road Firehouse, there were transformers on the poles that snapped the poles during the high winds. The electric power is back on the new poles. The other is communication wires that the communication companies, be it cable or telephone, must transfer back to the new pole or new poles. So those poles are secured for the time being, although they look a little bit threatening. They are secured, and we're hoping that within the next week or so that they will be squared away. If they are not, we'll be putting a call into the proper folks to take care of that. But New York State Gas and Electric, and a shout out to a colleague from Somers on the town board, Tom Garrity. He was on the phone with me constantly, giving me the updates. If I had a problem, I called him. He called his people out in the field. We worked seamlessly. And just this past week, in talking with Con Edison, they put me in contact with a fellow colleague of mine that I was a police officer with that now works for Con Edison. Yep. And he's in charge of the storms and how they respond and so forth. And our biggest thing is to make safe. So we're hoping that we can get at least one make safe crew from each company to be housed someplace in town where if we say, hey, we got to clear this road, we got to have the roads open for emergency vehicles, it can be taken care of with the help of our highway department and or water department. We want to work hand in glove. We want to make sure that our residents are safe, or at least that they can be treated if there is an ambulance call or a fire call or something of that nature. But I think we did pretty good. It was what I call a softball storm, but it had chilling effects because the temperatures dropped in to the below zero mark at one point in time, and that's what aided to it. And one other thing to remember, folks, is that with those high winds, the guys in those bucket trucks can't fly. They can't go up. All your center of gravity is up on that boom, and they have to wait for the winds to get down somewhere between 30 and 35 miles an hour. That was, we had a gentleman here last night from New York State Gas and Electric, and they'll get up there as soon as humanly possible to get things squared away, but they have to be safe too.
Yeah, I believe his presentation will be online as well.
Yes, it will. Yep.
So that was, and look, it's frustrating when our power goes out. We had one resident who sent a couple of questions, which I know the supervisor asked of the NYSEG representative. But, a big thing was that, hey, I didn't see the same damage around Mount Kisco as I did in Yorktown. You know, we get what are called microbursts, and sometimes, you know, you could have one street that gets rocked and another street that doesn't. You know, I live up by the top of Central Street, and I remember one year Central Street got demolished with trees. A microburst went right through, trees down all over, and one street over on on Summit Street, there was nothing. It was like nothing ever happened. So it's you know, the weather phenomenon. I don't claim to be a weatherman. I don't understand it, but unfortunately, you know, sometimes one area gets hit harder than another, even though they could be neighboring or street to street even. So,
One thing about the weather, Ed, we're going to know what's going to happen soon enough.
there you go.
You know, it's interesting. Hey, the front entranceway on Town Hall is open. Okay, we don't have to go up the handicap ramp on the right side anymore. You can walk right in the front door. We got the handicap spaces out front. There's handicapped accessible ramps that have been installed. We're waiting for a little bit more material just to finish up the railing going down, but we do have railing there. Right now it's made of wood, but that's going to be replaced. So I'll tell you, they did a beautiful job. They cleaned it up real good. It's more of a sweep instead of a jagged parking area. It really, really, really came out nice.
It did, and please note that we do have watch the signs out in front. There's Purple Heart parking spot as well as a veterans parking spot that are not part of the handicap parking. Those are off on the outer edge of the circle. So please keep that in mind when you're parking. Please look for those signs.
And folks, you know, there's very few of those spots around. So if you're not a veteran, you're not a Purple Heart recipient, please park someplace else.
Yes.
You know, it's a courtesy. It's showing thank you for your service.
Honor and respect. Absolutely.
That's it. You know, I talked about our police department before. And in Yorktown, I said we lead from the front. Well, our police chief, Robert Noble, leads. He is an amazing police chief. He's led that department through the pandemic, a loss of an officer, and numerous, more than you can count, encounters with different type of things throughout his career. He's worked his way up from a patrolman to the chief of police of this fine police department. And he is now the chair of the Westchester County Police Chiefs Association. I'm so proud of him, and thank you, Chief, for what you do for this department. The men and the women of that department, from what I can see, love to go to work and love to work for this man.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we were at the he was honored by Westchester Blue Foundation, which is a foundation that helps police officers that may need sort of like employee assistance program stuff, some mental health coaching. You know, there have been a lot of issues with our police. There's been a suicide rate, not with ours, thank God, but in policing in the policing world. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot to handle. And Westchester Blue actually recognized Chief Noble, and the showing of employees from our police department that came down was amazing. I think pretty much the whole town board was there at that time as well.
Yes.
So and the cheering and applause, not only from the Yorktown contingent, but all of the people that have associated with Chief Noble and worked with him was just amazing. He is definitely one of the most dynamic individuals that I've met, and it is such a pleasure to see him elected as the president of the Westchester County Chiefs Association. And you know, what a guy! And Bobby, thank you for not only making Yorktown your home, but being such a huge part of the community with our policing and and making sure that our force is second to none.
Yes, congratulations, Chief. It's a pleasure, and it's my honor and privilege to offer you those congratulations. Our theater renovation is complete. There are new seats. Now with dedicated seating for accessibility for all patrons. There is a new specific wheelchair accessible seating area, which if you've ever been to the Yorktown Theater, and it's a gem in our community, it's on either side of the, what I'm going to call the console, where they run the lights and the sound. And that particular seating area for wheelchair accessibility was done by our town employees. They did a heck of a job with railing and safety, and it came out beautiful. There's new carpeting in the entry, in the lobby, and in the theater. New lighting for inside entry area and lobby. I want to give a shout out to Dominic from Freight Liquidators on Route 6 in Cortlandt Manor for the very, very generous donations of all new seating for the lobby. I believe there's 3 or 4 couches that are there now. It changes the whole dynamic of that theater.
It really does.
Yeah. I got to give another shout out to our building maintenance department for once again constructing the wheelchair platform, the painting, the refurbishing of the cement flooring, and basically all the on-site project management. You can't beat our employees here in Yorktown. The first show in the new theater, actually the first show was Winnie the Pooh. Yes. That was last week.
By the children.
By the children.
Children actors.
Yep. But the first adult show will be this Friday, February 17th, at 7:30 p.m. for the show. Anthony Nunziata will be singing songs of love from Broadway to Italy. If you want to find out a little bit more, you want to buy tickets, you can visit www.yorktownstage.org, and that's to buy tickets and information on upcoming events. Folks, this is a jewel in our community. Utilize it.
Yeah, I believe that he will also have a female singer doing some things, and from what I understand, possibly even a comedian. I think.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Councilman Esposito was telling us that the other day, that he thinks there's a comedian, and there's definitely someone else singing, because her aunt, I believe, is a resident over at Wynwood Oaks. So we were hearing about it the other day when we had a little pizza party over there. And then I know coming up on March 31st, Chris Ruggiero will be here singing, and he's amazing. He just did a sold-out show recently at the Ridgefield Playhouse. So we're really getting some great talent coming into Yorktown, and I think that a shout-out also needs to go to Augie and Barry of the Yorktown Stage,
yes,
and all the people that work there. Because not only do they bring in this great talent and these great shows and then coordinate with outside groups, but they run so many programs for our kids. They have summer camps, they have all of these different activities that really introduces our youth to a great theatrical experience. And I watched my goddaughter. We took her to see Jessica Lynn, another Yorktown favorite, for her Christmas show, and my goddaughter. I'm sorry, she calls me Uncle Ed, but Maxine was just so enamored with the whole spectacle, the dancing, the singing, the showmanship. We took her to see a couple of shows last year at the stage, so I can't wait to bring her back for the renovation. Thank you guys for doing that, for keeping the arts alive, in addition with our Arts and Culture Committee, because the arts are our expression, and we have a fantastic place to express ourselves in Yorktown with the Yorktown stage.
And we got the theater manager there also, Steve Wolf.
Yes, I forgot Steve.
He's the glue. He's the glue that holds it together.
Sorry, Steve. Didn't mean to forget you.
Making sure things run properly, and Maxie may call you Uncle Ed. Sometimes I call you Mr. Ed, right? Isn't that
Gee, Wilbur. Yes.
So the town board has been doing a lot of work for the town. We're nearing completion of our vetting process for the Par 3 golf course. We did a site visit there the other day with possible vendors, where they expressed their vision on what they wanted to do there and how they were going to do it. And within the very near future, we're going to be picking the new vendor that will hopefully have it completely opened. We're hoping completely by July 4th. And it's going to go one way or the other. Either the restaurant's going to open first, hopefully, or the golf course will open first. But that's up to that individual vendor who is going to take over. So it's going to be a very interesting thing because that particular golf course hasn't been opened in decades, and people want it.
We've wanted, well, 8 years ago.
We wanted it.
8 years ago, we had someone sign in.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we couldn't bring that to fruition. So this will be great that we could finally move it through. There's still a lot of work that needs to happen, but both the vendors that we've spoken to have some really good experience, and we're hoping that we could narrow this down quite quickly to award the bid.
Yeah.
Not bid, the contract.
The contract, yeah. It's going to be nice to monopolize on their experience.
Yes.
And hopefully they will be able to succeed there as well. I tease Ed. I said, Mr. Ed and so forth. This guy's got the heart of a lion. The food cereal bowl, okay, was done through February 12th. And, like I said, Ed Hart has a heart as big as a lion, and he went out and was hoping to get a case of cereal to donate for our food pantries. And he not only got one case, but he was able to get 12 cases donated. Not only did we get 12 cases donated, but through donations from individuals. We were hoping to get 600 boxes, Ed, right?
The goal was 600.
Yep.
We did not make the goal. We blew it out of the water.
Yes, we did, with 1,200 and...
No.
I'm sorry, 1,000 and...
I think it was 1,036 at last count. But I really can't take credit. I just help facilitate a little bit. Really, Heidi and Sarah from Grace Lutheran were instrumental in bringing this program, as they call it. It's the Super Cereal Bowl of Giving, and it used to be the Super Bowl, S-O-U-P, because it used to be a donation for soup. But it turns out that our families in need, one of the biggest needs, especially with children, is cereal. So, we have 200 families a week that come through St. Mary's alone in their food pantry. And then we also have the Presbyterian Church. We have Yorktown Cares. We have at the Korean Church up by the Apple Orchard. Mm-hmm. And then, we also in our territory have the Veterans Food Pantry at the VA.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pantries, a lot of need. We were able to help St. Mary's with over 5 weeks of cereal for those in need. Just because the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl of cereal giving is over, that doesn't mean that the food insecurities are over.
Right.
And so, I take very little credit except for facilitating a great giver in the community in ShopRite and their manager over at the Cortland Town Center, across from the Cortland Town Center, who really just took the ball and helped run with this, and they do the same thing for us when we're looking for turkeys for those in need during Thanksgiving. They've just been a phenomenal partner in our community, and it's people like Peter, who manages the store there, people like Heidi, people like Sarah, that really make this come together. And I thank you for pointing it out, Tom, and I just hope that everyone takes to heart the fact that there are those in need in our community, and people should not go hungry. And sometimes it's just like, hey, you know what? I'm at the store. If every person that went to the store just said, let me get one item, but if every person did one item and then dropped that off at a pantry, that could help feed those 200 families.
Yeah, it would definitely help. So, as Ed said, please, just because that event is over, you can always drop off. They have collection boxes outside numerous pantries throughout town, and if a box of cereal will go a long way. Just think, if we had every resident in the town give a box of cereal, we'd probably have 40,000 boxes of cereal, approximately. Just another quick announcement about Jefferson Valley Mall is hosting Winter Farmers Market on select Sundays through April. Okay, so check their website, and you can see when they're having their next. Another thing, and I'm going to embarrass Ed a little bit here, but it's for a good thing. Like I said, he has the heart of a lion. He is once again hosting the Holocaust Remembrance Day here in the town hall on
Thursday, April 20th is our date that we have chosen. We still are trying to finalize our speaker for that day. Yom HaShoah, which is the Holocaust Remembrance Day, as it's said in Hebrew, is the 17th and 18th of April. I purposely try to do it after or before because the speakers are in great demand. I'm just very appreciative to have anyone come. Last year we had a lovely woman by the name of Esther Geisels, who unfortunately passed away this past year. Oh,
they're all great. Don't get me.
No, you're absolutely right. But she was an amazing woman who told her story, and just even the middle, to hear how she escaped during the death marches as the Nazis tried to kill off all of the survivors by marching them to death before they were liberated, and to escape that, and then to hear how she came to America and how every day of her life after that was a wonderful day because of what America offered her and what America did for her. And it was just such an amazing story. And even better for me was the opportunity to drive her back home and have
one-on-one
more detailed conversation.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'll throw a thank you out to Paul Martin, who's in the Sons of the American Legion, who actually went down and picked her up for us because she needed a ride, and it was just amazing. And once again, I'm just facilitating there. It is something that we need to remember, as we of the Jewish faith say, never forget. And it's just a beautiful celebration of life triumphing over evil. Yeah, over the ultimate evil.
Yeah.
And just to be able to meet and talk to people. I remember, Charlie Slater being up there and asking questions, and you know what? It's just a beautiful thing to see that. And We also have the owner of Yorktown Auto Body, Perry Gusikoff, with his twins. The twins come. They've participated every year.
Lily and Jack, yeah.
Lily and Jack have participated every year in the candle lighting. And, you know, to hear someone say, I want my kids to learn what it is like to triumph, what it is like to fight, what it is like to make sure that good overcomes evil. There is nothing better in the world than that.
And a big thank you, folks. I'll tell you what, you can watch all you want to watch on TV about the Holocaust and you're going to learn something. You can read about it and you're going to learn something. But it's not until you see these folks standing up here and telling their story are you actually going to be able to really get a grip on what happened and the near death experiences that they had. Some escaped just because they were forgotten about, and I tell you, it changed my life to listen to that, especially when we had one of a set of twins that came up here, and unfortunately I forget his name.
His name was Peter Voigas, I believe.
Yeah.
And he was a twin at Auschwitz.
Yep, at Auschwitz, one of the most notorious concentration camps in Germany.
With the butcher of Auschwitz, Joseph Mengele, who wanted to experiment on twins because he would infect one twin with a disease and then use the other twin as a baseline to see how the disease affected the human body. It was just animalistic, soulless. But to hear his story, to hear his recollection about, having thought that Joseph Mengele saved his life on 3 occasions, only to realize he was like a belonging that Mengele did not want to lose. It was heart-wrenching to hear. And actually, Peter did not speak of his story for many years.
Right.
He sort of realized, though, that if I don't tell my story, people might forget. And that's what this is all about. And you could actually go onto the town website and see all of our Holocaust remembrance events. We've had 4 of them already. We had to skip a year or 2 years with COVID, but we are back doing them, and we hope to have a fantastic speaker this year. His name is Sammy, is one that we're hoping we will be able to get, and he's has a great story and a great presentation, and hopefully we will be set with that. And as soon as we have the details, we'll make sure they are put out there.
Yeah, we'll get them up on the Town of Yorktown website, and it sends chills up your spine when you actually see the tattoos, their concentration camp numbers that are tattooed onto their arms. It's really quite chilling, and you learn a lot. If you can make it, please do.
Well, one thing I will say is what you don't realize until now. I had a very special gift. My daughter, for Father's Day in 2018, we were visiting her in Germany, and she took me to Dachau prison camp, which people say, what a weird, and it was on Father's Day, and people are like, that's a weird Father's Day gift, but actually it was a beautiful thing because she knew what the history meant to me. My family escaped the Ukraine, where they would have been slaughtered because of a religion. Mm-hmm. And you don't realize until you get a chance to visit a concentration camp that you could still feel the despair and the heaviness, the sorrow, the death, the utter hopelessness that had to exist. You could feel it to this day. But to know there are people that overcame it, that lived through it, that are still here today, 70 years later, is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Actually, 80 years later almost now. So, please, if you have the time, mark it on your calendar. If you can't make it here, our fabulous producer, Tom, will be recording it. We will have it on the website. You can watch it live. It'll be shown through the month. And it's just really, really amazing. Tom, maybe we could look at seeing if we could put some of the old ones on during the month of April in honor of Yom HaShoah. So, that would just be a tribute to those that came and shared their story with us.
Yeah. Ed, thank you. And once again, he does a fantastic job putting that on. He really does. And everybody that comes, I think, will agree with me. Well, that's about all I have.
I think we went way over the time we thought we were going to.
Yeah. And I just want to say thank you. Hopefully we gave you some information that you may have needed, shared some little tidbits. And I want to thank my Deputy Supervisor, Ed Lachterman, for being here with me tonight. And once again, I'm Supervisor Tom Diana, and this is Tom About Your Town. Goodbye, Yorktown.
God
Have
bless.
a good night.